Thanks for tuning in to another edition of Playbook Sports Horse Report, Prime Sports Network, as we have a pretty good card at Gulfstream Park, one of the best Saturdays of the year at Gulfstream Park, and we have three races we're going to cover for you today. Two with John Hardoon from the Sheets, and then Mark Lawrence and I will cover the Fountain of Youth as our third bonus race. John, how is everything going?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Doing good. How's business, John?
It's okay. Saturday should be busy. 14 races and a lot of stake races at Gulfstream. Early post time this week. I believe it's 11:30 maybe, and so don't get there late. That's East Coast time.
Mark, how are you? How is everything going?
I'm doing just great, guys, and I will not be at Gulfstream Park this Saturday, which I normally am at. Haven't been since we've had the pandemic, but I plan on going here next week, so I'll miss the crowd. Hopefully there will be a crowd, as we know it's a limited attendance there, but I still think you'll see a lot of faces in the park at Gulfstream on Saturday.
How many, what's the attendance?
Well, you never knew what the attendance was there because, they sold tickets in simulcast rooms and there was no charge for people that didn't have a seat. So the attendance was whatever Gulfstream posted for the attendance to be. And obviously, always in the big days, it was always a record-setting crowd, for the races, for the Florida Derby, so forth and whatnot. But it'll be what they post. I don't know, but I think it's going to be limited because of the social distancing that's involved with the race here right now. So most likely, I'm going to say more people than we've seen here thus far this year.
All right, sounds.
I would assume though that they're going to probably have like 25%. I don't know what they had for Pegasus Day, which was probably the biggest day until this coming Saturday. That was probably their biggest crowd they had, and I think they were allowing 25% capacity. So. Who knows?
That sounds right, yes.
All right. We are going to start with race number 4. That's going to be the Grade 2 Mcgehee. Coming up after that will be the Grade 2 Gulfstream Park Mile. But first, it's the Mcgehee. And taking a look here, the three horses that intrigued me were this is the one race where. Actually, it's the one race. Actually, both races. I don't even have the odds, so you guys are going to have to help me out with this. They didn't post it enough early, and I've been busy setting everything up. So without the odds, I like the 1, the 3, and the 8. What do you like, John?
Well, the 1 is 3-1, and at 3-1, I don't need the 1 because I like the 3 who's 5-2. So I'm not going to use two short-priced horses. That's why I lost the 1. But the 1 certainly off the figures has a chance. I was leaning towards using the 3-horse Tide of the Sea, who I think is the most steady and consistent horse in the field. Not only that, the horse has won at the distance. This is a marathon distance. And there doesn't appear to be much speed in the race. And I think this horse is going to be forwardly placed and have a pace advantage. The horses that I was considering using with him, I should say, was the 4 Moon Over Miami, the 7 Aquaphobia, and the 8 Admission Office. I was even considering making Admission Office my top selection until I went back and I looked that he runs on Lasix, but as you know, no Lasix in stake races this year at Stronach racetracks. So he's coming off of Lasix, and his worst race this year was 2 starts back without Lasix. And last year he ran in a race without Lasix as well, and that was his worst race last year. So for that reason, I downgraded
What's the odds
him,
on the 8?
and he's 5-1.
Okay.
So I was putting the 3 Tide of the Sea over the 4 Moon Over Miami and the 7 Aquaphobia. 3 over the 4 and 7.
3 over 4 and 7, and still it sounds like we're back on track. A little simpatico with our picks here. So tell us a little bit about the 1, Temple, the 3-1 shot. Ran a couple of 8s, actually 3 8s last year. Started with an 11 at Gulfstream Park last month. 16 out of 23 lifetime with 5 wins. That's a nice ratio. Also, 10 of 10 at Gulfstream Park with 4 wins. So there's a lot to like there. Michael Maker has 3 horses in this race. This is one of them, Temple. What was the big difference between 1 and the 3? The reason you chose the 3 over the 1?
Well, the 3 has a 7. The 1 hasn't run a 7. And again, the 3 to me looks like he's a forward-moving horse. He's lightly raced. He's a 5-year-old who only has 10 career starts. He's won 4 of them and finished second 3 times and third 1. So that's 8 out of 10 in the money. There's nothing wrong with the 1. The 1 is fine. He's getting Irod Ortiz. And again, it's another maker horse in the race. I just always tend to look for value. Sure. And 3-1 exact is not going to be paying much.
Yeah, what's interesting about the 3 is if we take a look over his last 6 races, the horse is rotated from a 10. So that was a good one. He went from a 13 to a 10. So that was his sheets number went forward. Then he went to a 12. It went back. Then it went forward to a 10. Then it went back to a 12. Then a big step to a 7. Then a big step back to an 11. So if we go with this rotation right, he's headed towards another good sheet day or a positive sheet day, a positive move.
He has what we call an alternating line, which means good race, bad race, good race, bad race. It's like a zigzag. Yeah. And he's sitting on, it's time for the good race. He threw in the clunker last time out.
And the rider has been on board just looking at the form here, the rider's been on this horse twice. He's got 2 wins.
Right. He's 2 for 2 on the horse. And he probably has a choice which horse he wants to ride. He rode the 1 horse 2 starts back, and he finished second that day on him. He's all right.
The 4 and the 7, the other 2 horses you threw in there. The 4 doesn't have any single-digit marks, but his last 2 are 2 of his best back-to-back, an 11 and a 10. And the 7, now this horse ran a 6 last May, as 3 8s last year, and a 9. Starting off 2021 with an 11. The results haven't been good, but the sheet numbers last year were strong. So the 4 and the 7, who do you like better and why?
I like the 4 better because he's a 4-year-old and he still has room for improvement, where the 7 is an 8-year-old. And I'm just hoping that he may get back to those old numbers when he used to run single digits. He showed life last time out, and I'm hoping that he's going to continue moving forward.
What are the odds on those, the 4 and the 7?
The 4 is 6 to 1. The 7 is 5 to 1.
Wow, it seems like a lot of horses with low numbers.
Yeah, well, the problem is you have a couple of horses that are just slow and don't belong. Like the 2 is 30 to 1. The 5 is 15 to 1.
And the 6, really, right? 6-2, maybe.
Well, it's 6 to 1. That's a ridiculous
6 to 1
price.
for the 6.
Yeah, he's slow. I mean, he has no chance, and he's.
Yeah, on this turf, the best race he's run was an 11, and that was in 2019.
Exactly.
Mark, you like anything here?
Let me ask John a question here. John, if there's a horse in this race that has a potential bounce in the horse, is there anyone that you see that would fit that description in this race?
Well, yeah, the 8 may bounce. He's 5 to 1.
Yeah, that was a big jump. He went from a 16 to a 9 in his last 2 races.
Right. So that's the problem I have with him. So he's certainly a bounce candidate. And everyone else is really basically pretty steady. What you see is what you get here. There shouldn't be any real surprises.
All right, also.
I can see your horse, John. I can see your 3 horse. He's the only horse in the field, as you mentioned, that raced without Lasix and won his last start, the only horse in this field that did just that. So it sounds like he fits the bill, if you will.
Yeah, that's the point. And he's also won at the distance. Not many horses in the race could say that. The 7 has won at the distance. He's 1 for 2 at it. And the 3's hit the board in all 3 races that he's run at the distance. So we know he can handle it. It's 1 mile and 3/8. Not everyone could go that far. He won 1.5 miles last time and won that race. So that's certainly a good sign.
All right, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel. If you want to see more videos like this one, you click on the PSN icon right there at the bottom right of the screen, and that'll do the trick. Check out playbooksports.com, and you can order a full card of selections for any track with a $25 value. and you'll receive any second track for free. This offer is for the same day's races only. I wanted to ask you, John, when do you make your selections? So if somebody wants to get picks for Saturday's Gulfstream card, when do you have them ready?
They're usually available no later than 6 p.m. the night before the races. So the entire 14 race card will be available before 6 p.m. tomorrow night. Okay. So you get a full, whatever it is.
How
12 hours.
With your experience and knowing how, things change with morning line odds and post time odds, how difficult does that get sometimes?
Well, it gets very difficult because the morning line maker at Gulfstream is not the best. There are tracks where the morning line maker is really sharp. Gulfstream is not one of those tracks. Oaklawn, the guy that makes the morning line at Oaklawn, is the absolute worst. He put horses down that are 20-1 that I know can't go off more than 3-1, and it happens on a steady basis. The California guy is very good, very sharp. The New York guy is okay, except for the guy that does Saratoga. He's not good. You just have to know, and the only way you know is by playing these tracks and consistently playing them.
And that comes into your experience as far as when you make your selections as well, and that's very important. Yeah. So okay.
Say, John, let me ask you this before you move on to the next race about these morning line odds. The morning line odds basically are just one man's opinion and different people at different tracks.
Right.
Has there ever been spoken about the possibility of these morning line odds coming out of a computer-driven look to produce those odds and then doing just that, or are the tracks more comfortable having their guy post their morning lines odds at each track?
Well, a lot of places do try to have some sort of a program that they use to make the morning line. The old days, people would do it in their head or with a calculator. The odds have to add up to a certain number, the amount of horses, and they break it down and they divide it, whatever their formula is. Everyone has their own formula for doing it. And again, the old-time guys, those are like the guy that does it at Santa Anita. His name is John White. He takes it so serious. I mean, there are guys that really take, one day I was doing a radio show and I said this horse is listed at a ridiculous 15-1 on the morning line.
Well,
as soon as I hung up and got off the air, he right away emails me, "You insulted me?" Whoa, slow down. I didn't insult you. I just said you made the right morning line. However, in my opinion, he was more like a 4 or 5-1 shot. I was saying ridiculous, not offending you in any way. But, that's how some guys, they take it so serious, and that's just the way it goes. But
you mean people have feelings, John?
Yeah, I insulted the guy. Believe me, you would think like I cursed out his mother or his wife or something, but that's how serious he takes his job. And he's very good at it. And I'm sure he may be listening to this tonight or tomorrow, whenever it's posted. So I just want to make it clear that he's very good at what he does.
All right. So next up, race 9 at Gulfstream. This is the Gulfstream Park Mile Stakes. And you're going to see highlights here of the Grade 3 Fred Hooper. And I'll throw these highlights in a couple of times as we're going through the race. And the reason why I'm showing these highlights, this is the stretch run of the Fred Hooper. The horses that finished 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 5th in this race at Gulfstream Park late January last month are in this race. So I wanted to go over actually those horses that finished 1st, 2nd, and 3rd because those are the horses that do intrigue me the most. And that is Eye of the Jedi, and then you have Performer and Avant Garde. Once again, I don't have the odds, but I would guess that Performer, who usually goes off as the heavy favorite, will end up going off as the favorite not only on the morning line but also tomorrow. So yeah, what I liked about it was Eye of the Jedi did a really good job. It was really gutsy stretch drive with Performer. It that kind of, opened my eye a little bit because I can't imagine he's going to be the favorite. So I'm just guessing I'm going to get decent odds with the horse. He's 16 of 19 at Gulfstream with 4 wins, so I like that. Meanwhile, Avant Garde, who was finishing third there on the outside, he had a little bit of trouble. He was boxed in before the final turn, and I think he had a strong third place finish. What I like about Avant Garde, not only did he finish his last 2 races, he had back-to-back 6s, but if you take a look at the 4 one-mile races on a fast dirt track, he's gone from a 16 to a 13 to a 10 to a 6. He keeps improving on the 1 mile races. I also think I should get halfway decent odds with Avant Garde. So anyway, those are the 2 horses besides the favorite that I like. Tell me what the odds are, John.
Well, I have a Jedi as 8 to 1.
Okay.
Performer is 2 to 1. And Avant Garde is 10 to 1.
Good. So I like the odds on Avant Garde and I the Jedi. What do you like or dislike about those 2 horses, John?
We actually landed on the exact same horses.
All right. See, back to back. See, Mark, this is where we're starting to get simpatico here now, me and John. It took us a few weeks, but, we hadn't been working together for a few months. Now we're starting to see eye to eye again.
Sounds like somebody knows how to read those sheets.
I'm starting to learn again how to read the sheets properly. I was the rusty one.
No question about it, since I do it every day. But, yeah, you do it once a week. But, listen, Performer's going to be the big favorite. He's never gone off. He's gone, look, 9 out of 10 races on the racing form. You see that he's been a favorite. Yep. He's gone off 5 cents to $1, 90 cents to $1. One time he went off 5 to 2, and that was in some other big race. But you're right. I mean, Avant Garde is a 4-year-old who's really getting good now. He just continues to improve. Eventually, he's going to hit the end of the line. He just can't keep moving forward. But at 10 to 1, he's certainly worth a play. Performer has a shot to react off of that 5. If you look at his history, a lot of times he bounces. He goes 5-9, 5-8, or whatever it is. I don't have the sheets in front of me.
He went 5-9. He went 5-5, but then he went. Then he went 5-10.
When he went 5-5, how much time was between the races?
That was. Oh wow! Okay, that's a whole year.
Exactly. So,
yeah.
So he never really put 2 races together. You said it yourself. He went 5-9, 5-10. Now he's coming back close for him. So he has a shot. To react. I mean, he's 6 for 8 lifetime. Mcgehee, again, having a terrific meet. He disappointed last weekend. But again, the horse is a good horse. But he's going to be 3 to 5. He beat these other 2 horses in his last race, so people usually look at what you did. However, you made a good point. Avant Garde had trouble in that race. Avant Garde gets a big rider switch today. Javier Castellano is going to be back aboard, who's returning from an injury. And, he's going to a Hall of Fame rider. It's a big plus, this jockey change. And he may be the way to go because he's going to be the longest of the 3 of them. And, we always look for value. You even have room to open up with an exacta box of 3, 4, 6, and then come back and you could press extra tickets with the 4 on top of the 3 and 6. But I wouldn't. I would just open up with that box and hope you get a 6-3-3-6 out of it.
Okay. And, a couple other things on Avant Garde. Well, I mean, you can see it here. He's 7 for 7 at Gulfstream with 5 wins. He's 5 for 5 at 1 mile races with 3 wins. Also, as far as the other horses in the field that we need to discuss, Fat Man ran a 2 in this race last year. That was the best race of his career when he finished 2nd in the race. Then went to a 10, 5, 10. So those are his 3 races since the 2. And look at the results, 6th, 3rd, and 5th. So he hasn't exactly recovered from that.
Did he run a 5 last time out?
10 last time out.
Oh,
yeah, 2 10s and a 5 since the 2.
Well, the obviously hurt him. He's also 7 years old now, so the chances of him ever coming back to that 2 are slim and none. And that's
Tax, meanwhile, seemed to bounce in his last race. He had a 4 in December, won that race. That was a grade 3 at Gulfstream. Bounced to an 8 with a little bit more. Bounce. Maybe I'm giving him a break there because he did have 6 weeks. But anyway, ran an 8 his last time out. Tax. What do you think about this horse? The trainer's off to a hot start.
Yeah, the trainer's been on fire. He's hitting up close to 40% for the meet. The problem with him is he's 5-2, and he's going to take money because of the trainer. You know, I mean, he has a shot. Obviously, if he runs his 4, he's going to be right there. But I don't know if he's coming back to that 4 so quick. You know, and at a short, he's going to be a clear second choice in here. So there's no way you're going to use Performer and Tax together. There's chemistry value doing that. So that's why we came up with the 3 and 6 along with Performer.
Yeah, but I mean, look, I have no problem. I mean, I don't want to talk for you, but I have no problem doing that because we look at Eye of the Jedi. His last 4 races, he's got 2 5s and a 6. Avant-Garde has got back-to-back 6s. Tax has an 8, a 9, and a 13 in his last 4 races.
Right.
Yeah, so go ahead.
Throw
money on Tax. Keep those odds down. That's what we want. What about Fearless? The number 5 hasn't raced in 8 months since last June. And this is a Pletcher Ortiz horse. So you know there's going to be a lot of money on Fearless.
Yeah, but he hasn't been out since last year, like you said. What he has going for him is that he is 2 for 2 at Gulfstream. However, those were cheap races. One was a maiden event and one was an optional claimer. You know, so he really didn't beat much. And even if he runs his best number, which was an 8 last year, it's not going to be good enough. Yeah, and he's coming off of a layoff. So there's no edge in playing that horse. And he's 9-2. Both the 3 and 6, Avant-Garde and Eye of a Jedi, are both almost twice the price of him. So why would you play him?
All right, and nothing to even talk about with the 7 and 8, correct?
Correct.
All right, so there you go. John, you're going to go 3, 4, 6 in an exacta box.
Right.
You're going to go 3 over 4 and 7, race number 4.
Correct.
All right, excellent, John. I appreciate your time as always. You can go ahead and do whatever you want. Mark and I are going to wrap up with the Fountain of Youth, and we'll talk to you again next week. When's the Florida Derby?
Must be a few weeks away because
it's usually 4 weeks from this race.
Okay. Yeah, at least. All right, guys, stay safe, be well, and have a great day out at the races on Saturday. Stay safe, and we'll talk next Thursday night.
John,
Thanks,
Thanks, John.
Be well.
May the horse be with you.
All right. Hey, Mark, I haven't even paid attention. I've got so many things in my head, but did you want to be dark?
You know what happened?
Stealth mode.
No, what happened is when I started, the sun was blaring through, and the sun has gone down.
Okay.
Yeah, the sun has gone down.
I wasn't even thinking
Let me turn the light.
And I was looking over there and say, it's like, is he trying to hide from someone in the other office?
Let me turn the light on here real quick.
Okay, I can still see you.
Yeah, because if I open up the blinds, it's not going to do any good because it's dark out. So hold on one second, okay?
All right, next up is going to be the Fountain of Youth. And also want to remind everybody before we handicap the Fountain of Youth regarding John and Mark. Of course, Mark's got playbooksports.com. So that's the website that you want to check out for all sorts of sports, including this time of year, it's college basketball. So March Madness begins soon, even though, I don't know, Madness, 25% crowd. It doesn't matter. They're going to play basketball. That's really all that counts. There's going to be a lot of action on college basketball, like always, for March Madness. And again, you can go to playbooksports.com and order a full card of selections for any track with a $25 value. Obviously, this is John Hardoon's cards. And you'll receive any second track for free. This offer is for same-day races only. Okay, the Fountain of Youth, Mark. And this is a race that is maybe not, we haven't seen the great horses recently like we did when Spectacular Bid raced here. Who else raced here? Thunder Gulch. And there were a few other big-name horses that won this race. Recently, There have been, I think Orb might have been one of the ones that won here in 2013. I believe when Orb won here, I think one of the trainers who's in this race, Shug Mcgehee, was trained Orb to victory in this race. So, again, not the race maybe it used to be, but still, this is a race you want to keep an eye on. A very early Kentucky Derby prep race. And this is obviously for 3-year-olds and a mile and a 16th. And before we move on to taking a look at the entire field, Drain the Clock, the one horse, John mentioned that there's a possibility that that horse could scratch in this race, maybe move on to another race because that's a sprinter, very good sprinter. I was kind of surprised to hear him say that too, because I was listening to the trainer talk. He seemed to be very optimistic about Drain the Clock and his ability to go further than he's ever gone before. He's only run 7 furlongs. He's got to really open things up here, but he seemed to say all the right things. But then again, every trainer seems to always say the right things. Maybe he just didn't see something he liked in some of his practice runs.
Well, he probably saw the other horses in the field and maybe realized that there wasn't a realistic shot for that horse here. You've got a lot of the same horses here going back, if you will, to the Holy Bull that were in the Holy Bull, which Greatest Honor won impressively. So maybe it's the decision he's making that the sprint, turning him open here 2 turns, might not be the optimal race for that horse this particular race. But he's awfully impressive Drain the Clock. I mean, he's been favored in every race that he's gone off on. And you got a great, not a great, but very popular trainer there in Safi Joseph. So he will be, if he races, he'll get some money. I mean, I think they may ignore the fact that he's a sprint horse, just the fact that Safi is in the race. But if he scratches, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, because when you look at it, that's the only thing that was the knock on the horse coming in here was the distance. He's won all 4 of his races by 21 total lengths combined, which is just, I mean, he just kills every race. The only race he didn't finish, the rider got knocked off. So as long as he's got somebody on his back when he crosses the finish line, he dominates. So that was a horse I was actually looking forward to putting in exacta, and I still might do that. Now look, you look at the sheet lines, the best number was a 10. That was the first race this year. That was the 6 furlong race. Followed it up with a 13. So I wasn't happy to see him go 10 to 13, but still, he dominates every race. 5-1. That's okay. You know, I wouldn't mind getting a little bit better odds than that. Now, Prime Factor, the number 2 horse, and I'm going to start showing highlights of the stretch run of the Holy Bull, because Prime Factor here, as you can see, was one of the horses that was, he was the favorite of the race, actually, Prime Factor of the Holy Bull.
You take a picture of him because you won't see him at the end,
yeah,
but go ahead.
I didn't like, and neither did anybody, like the way that horse just dead when he came around the final turn. It was only his 2nd career race, started with 6 furlongs, so you were just guessing that the horse was going to be able to stretch it out. Well, he did not. He had nothing down the stretch.
No, he didn't. And in fact, he'll still command a little bit of money here, just given the fact, as you mentioned, Greg, that he was the favorite going back into the Holy Bull race. And you still got Todd Pletcher and with Ortiz for a nice connection there. So he will draw money. There's no question. But he's going to have to improve, I think, big time off of what we saw in this last race.
Yeah, it's part of you feels like, well, Pletcher and Ortiz, especially Pletcher, he's got something. He's got something up his sleeves. But there are other horses here that I think make a little bit more sense. I would be completely putting all of my faith in Todd Pletcher, which is not a bad thing to do because they really like this horse. I mean, somebody paid $900,000 for the horse. So there was a lot of high expectations, and it just didn't work out at the Holy Bull. So who knows? I guess there's a possibility that he can come back and perform well on Saturday. But I'm with you. I think there are better options out there I feel more comfortable with.
Yeah, I think there are some other horses that make better sense in this particular race. He may hit the board. I won't have him on my ticket. because he's going to have to do something and prove to me what he hadn't proved before, and that's go 2 turns and be successful doing that.
Now, I'm going to pop up here the Breeders' Cup Juvie Turf Race, which was the last race, the stretch run. This was the last race for Fire at Will.
Yeah, we're going to like what we see here.
And Fire at Will just coasted nicely, stalking in the 3rd place position on the rail. And then when it was time, it was a really nice ride by Santana. Just decided, okay, let's go get him, move to the outside, and just passed the leader for which actually looked like an easy win down the stretch. And it was this is a horse that was that will now, be racing for the first time off the turf. That is the thing that would be concerning. 4-1, that's pretty much what the horse is at 7-2. I'd like a little bit better odds on a horse that's getting on dirt for the first time. And let's also keep in mind that this horse was a 30-1 shot, Mark, when he won in that Breeders' Cup race. And how often do we talk about when you have odds on a team or a horse, one game or 1 week, and then the next week, after they have a good performance, the odds completely go crazy in their favor, and it's like, well, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, to take a horse that was 30-1 1 week or 1 month, and now is a 5-1 shot.
Well, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the horse did break his maiden on dirt. And then I think he started turf.
Well, that was, what was that? That was a sloppy track. They went from turf to, I guess, a sloppy dirt track.
Yeah. So it wasn't by design to put him on the dirt.
Yeah.
It obviously switched over there because of the turf situation. But you mentioned he was awfully impressive in that last race. He does get a rider change here in this particular race. Santana did not chip in here. Michael Maker, looks like he's going to have a big day, or he has a good chance to have a big day. But this horse is going to be a factor in this race. He knows that if this horse can no trainer knows better than whether a horse is capable of going from turf to dirt, which this horse is going to be doing here. There's a lot to like about this horse. Now, I think the biggest concern might be the layoff. This is his first race since the Breeders' Cup Turf, and that could be a factor here as well. And you've also got him racing now at Gulfstream Park for the first time here as well. So I think he'll command some money in this race. Obviously, he's not going to be the favorite, but I think he could end up going off 2nd or 3rd choice.
All right, now let's move on to some other horses here that I want to talk about that are coming off the Holy Bull. And that's what you're seeing on the screen right now, the stretch run of the Holy Bull and Greatest Honor, because we showed it before when Prime Factor laid an egg. But now we're going to show it because let's keep in mind Tarantino wound up finishing 2nd. Greatest Honor, just as you can see, just absolutely just blew away the field down the stretch run. It was the most impressive race of the season so far. It's early in the 3-year-old season, but that was the most impressive race that I've seen. He's also got you're talking about a horse with back-to-back 7s. No other horse in this field has anything like that. But that's why Greatest Honor, the odds are going to be just really crazy. And the only way you're going to make any money in this race, you're going to more than likely have to find a good exacta. I just don't think any horse is going to beat Greatest Honor.
I would like to have John on here to ask him this question, Greg, that it's back-to-back 7s. He comes off that monster race in the Holy Bull. What would have taken for him? What number would he have had to put up to be a bounce candidate in this particular race? From the 7 to a 4? Would that have been bounce range for this horse? I'm not sure.
Yeah, back-to-back 7s. You're not going to have to worry about that. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's
if you like Greatest Honor.
Yes. And he's also going to be very, very popular at the window here. Shug Mcgehee, as you mentioned here, he'll be odds on in this particular race. And I can understand why John didn't want to get into the race, because he probably feels his horse cannot be beat. And it's not in his DNA to be out there with an odds-on favorite in a race. He'd have to load up with a lot of horses underneath to justify that. But it was certainly a pleasure watching him win that race in such impressive fashion to win the Holy Bull. He's going to go up against a few horses that he went up against in that same race here. So he's going to obviously help that that this race unfolds the same way that the other one did, but he's going to be very, very tough to beat
Yeah,
in
and
here.
again, Tarantino had raced on turf first 3 races of his career, and then went to Gulfstream and decided to run on dirt in the Holy Bull, and it was a really good second place finish. Now the problem is that Greatest Honor was just far and away the better horse, but still, you have Tarantino first time on dirt. In a situation where he finishes second. He was 26-1, so he was a long shot. You're 8-1 now. This is not a bad idea because you might be able to get another forward move. It's a good rider trainer connection. Last year, 18, 18, 16 on turf. First race this year on dirt, ran an 11. So that's a really good run there for Tarantino. And if the one doesn't race, Tarantino may not be a bad idea.
Well, what's strange here, Greg, is the fact that Zayas, who was on Tarantino in his track or in his dirt debut, switched over to the one horse in this particular race during the clock. So now you've got Tyler Gaffalione on the horse instead. He may regret making that move, Zayas, if he ends up scratching. Or maybe he felt that he didn't like what he saw from Tarantino. But I can understand him wanting to sit on that one horse. He's very, very impressive. But he went off in that race at 26-1 in the Holy Bull and finished up second. Oftentimes you'll see horses like that don't win, that went off at big prices and come back at much, much shorter odds, struggle. And that could be the case for Tarantino in this race as well.
So subtle. The number 3 horse is a 20-1 shot. May not be a completely bad idea. Coming off a win in his first race of the year, ran a 14. That was at a mile. Opened it up from a 7.5 on a turf race. Obviously, the horse didn't run well on turf. Comes back on dirt, runs a much better race. Not only wins the race easily, but does it at Gulfstream for a 14. That's not bad. Why not think that this horse can even show more improvement? Third race out, second race on dirt. And you're getting good odds. See, this is the type of horse that you might want to look at for a decently paid exacta with Greatest Honor.
Well, at 20-1 odds, the morning line, I think he has to be used somewhere. Like you said, if the horse does improve off of his last race, he could end up being in the mix in the money here somehow. They're going back to Paco Lopez off of the win he had last race. So the jockey change may end up helping the horse. If you lose Alvarado and he wins his debut impressively like he did, and you're changing jockeys, you're changing back to a jock that has at least ridden this horse and knows the subtleties about the horse. So
weird,
I think he ends up being, as you say. Yeah, it kind of is.
Alvarado was on board when things. Lopez was on board when things didn't go very well.
Exactly.
Maybe you got to think. Well, unless there's some, there's a little connection there between the trainer and the rider. Otherwise, maybe it's, hey, wait a second, this horse is better, much better on dirt. Now we found something here, and Lopez may be able to get him to actually, maybe he can actually get him over the top as well. So who knows the reason? Because Alvarado is going to be racing with the 10.
Yeah, and to have him go back to Lopez, that could end up being a jockey's agent move, with the owner here. Yeah. We don't know. We don't know exactly what the situation is, but I think for the price, he warrants a long look here.
Yeah, and that 10, Papetu, 15-1 shot, the one Alvarado's on board. He had a 10 to start 2021 at Gulfstream. He ran second. That was the best race of his career. But then he bounced to a 14 at the Holy Bull, finishing way back and fourth. And that's the reason why, if I had to gamble on a long shot, I feel a lot better with the 3 than the 10 or even the 5 or the 6. The 5 has got a 22 and an 18. The 6, the best race is a 17 at 15-1. So why wouldn't I go with the 3 at 20-1 coming off of 14?
Well, there's no reason not to. And if you disregard the price of the horse, you like the horse anyway. You like the horse even a little bit more, just given the fact that you're going to get a nice price on the horse here. What are the numbers on the 10 horse Papatu? What are his numbers? I can't quite understand the jock wanting to make this switch here.
Well, again, these two races this year, he had a 10 in his first race of the season, then went to a 14. He ran a 15 last year, which was his best race. So the 10 was nice. Unfortunately, and look, it's not like it was a bounce situation, because he had a terrible race in September when he ran a 32. That was a disaster, but he had more than enough time before the January race. So he starts the year off solidly with a 10. But there's no reason for him to go backwards to a 14. But just, look, you are racing. I mean, the 10 was 5 better than his career best, which was a 15 in last July. So I get that. But still, it seemed to go backwards a little bit in his last race.
I'm going to say this here, Greg, that I've seen so many times in the Fountain of Youth where you'll get a long shot horse that nobody had figured, and then the horse wins the race, goes on to the Florida Derby, and obviously the price gets chopped way down, and the horse ends up maybe being a racehorse. So if that's the case, we have to ask ourselves, which of these horses here that are going to go off at a price that you wouldn't be stunned to see win the race and then be a fit inside the Florida Derby?
Yeah, the only two that I'll probably do, as long as I get the odds that I'm looking at here, would be Tarantino and So Subtle. Because, again, prime factor, no way at that price at 5-1. Not interested. I like Drain the Clock. I'm willing to give a chance. But if I go with Drain the Clock, I'm going with Drain the Clock to win the race. I'm not going with an exact. It won't pay much if the odds stay the same. I'd rather just take the chance that Drain the Clock can go a mile and a 16th. And if that horse can do that, then I'd rather just throw a few bucks on Drain the Clock to win. But if I'm looking for a good payout in an exacta, I'm gonna use the 3 and the 7.
Well, Drain the Clock has shown that he can rate in sprint races, and if he can rate in this particular race, it could serve him well. He's not the kind of a horse that has to go wire to wire to win this race, and especially stretching out. So it's going to be interesting to see whether or not he races, and if he does, if he'll be that factor. I can say this, that if he wins this race, Drain the Clock, you're going to have a decision, or the odds maker, the track odds maker will have a decision come Florida Derby time. Who would you make the favorite, Drain the Clock or Greatest Honor?
All right, let's wrap things up here. And again, the 4th race, that's the one where John went with the 3. That's a Tide of the Sea over the 4 and the 7. And again, the Tide of the Sea was that horse that was up, down, up, down, up, down. Actually, down, up, down, maybe up on Saturday. So Tide of the Sea was his top horse. So that, again, is the Mac Diarmida. Then in the 9th race, the Gulfstream Park Mile, John went 3-4-6 exacta. Those are the 3 horses that were right there at the end in that Hooper race that we showed you. Again, 3, 4, and 6. The favorites in there, that's Performer with Eye of the Jedi and Avant Garde. Eye of the Jedi and Avant Garde, really like, they're both 8 and 10-1 odds-wise. Those are really good odds for those 2 horses, so we like that. And then the Fountain of Youth, who are you going to go with in this one, Mark?
Well, it's going to be difficult to beat Greatest Honor. Honestly, it's going to be tough to step in front of a horse like that. And if I saw the one horse in the race, I think I'd have to tackle him, and I'd also look at Tarantino in this race. The 2 possible horses, I think they'd pull a rug out on Greatest Honor.
All right, yeah, and I'm gonna roll the dice on So Subtle. Maybe throw a couple of bucks on the win. Maybe, like you said, maybe I can get lucky if there's an upset, but definitely exacta with Tarantino and Greatest Honor. And if Drain the Clock races and I can get good odds, and maybe I'll throw a couple of bucks on the win there. I want to remind everybody you can check out playbooksports.com, order a full card of selections for any track with a value of $25. Of course, these are John's selections. You'll receive any second track for free. The offer is for same day's races only. All right, Mark, so what's going on at playbooksports.com besides horse racing?
We're getting ready for the college basketball conference tournaments right now. We just wrote up our first 5 conference tournaments in our new issue, which will be out here tonight as we do the show on Thursday. So we cover 5 college basketball conference tournaments. Our next issue will cover 14 college basketball conference tournaments. So it's nothing but tournaments wire to wire from now until March Madness. You can get that newsletter online, as you mentioned, at playbooksports.com.
All right. Thanks to John Hardoon. Mark, appreciate it as always. We'll talk to you again next Thursday.
Hey, Greg, enjoy the races. Be well, and I'll look forward to catching up with you next Thursday as well.
No more force be with you? That was only for John?
That's only for John.
I mean, the horse be with you?
The horse be with you.
Take care, Mark.
I have a good friend of mine who I grew up with as a kid, and we used to always handicap races in junior high school. And he still loves the horses, but that's how he signs all his emails off to me. May the horse be with you.
All right, sounds good. Best of luck, everybody out there. Have a good Saturday at Gulfstream.
Hey, have a good one. Be well, Greg, and like I say, I'll catch you next week.